now I've got these two small boys. I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oh.
And I've got all this info that I've just been taking these crazy notes all these years, using myself as this human science experiment, seeing what works, what doesn't, and just writing these, what I call these universal truths, these total truths. Oh, well, thank you. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Right now, my 4-year-old son hates me because I put him to bed early last night. But yes, in the long run, I think he'll thank me, right? So, right. So
actually, can I, as a grandmother, make a comment on that? You're so doing the right thing, because your job isn't to be their friend. Your job is to do what's best for them, whether they like it or not.
That's exactly it, right? I mean, yesterday was a really hard one for, because he's just now getting to the stage where he's like starting to use rationale, and it's like there's this like you want to be there's this camaraderie, like he's like my little buddy now. It's not like I'm your parent, and you want to keep that. At the same time, I think it's very tempting, just like we were talking about earlier with this broken system. I think a lot of parents that don't get that, they'll give their kid whatever they want, and they'll spoil them, and they'll do whatever they can to be their kid's best friend. And then how does that kid turn out? That story ain't gonna end well. A monster, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with the notion, raise your kids so you can live with them. And it's not easy to live with a whiny, demanding, spoiled child. So don't do that. And I also felt that the most powerful word in the English language was no. I mean, when my kids would say, but Johnny's parents let him do this, and I'd simply say, I'm not Johnny's parents.
I'm not Johnny's
parents. I love you enough so that I want what's best for you, and no, the answer is no.
I love that. And so I'm speaking of it while we're getting into it, as a parent, trying to be creative, like you got to look at each individual, just like this reparenting thing, right? But I'm actually parenting. But just like when you're reparenting somebody with all these principles and stuff, like you're trying to share, I'm trying to share, it's like you need to come from an angle that relates to them, that they can connecting with their why, as Simon Sinek would say. You gotta connect on a deeper level to where they're like, yes, I want to do that, versus you should do this, right? And so, go ahead.
Whenever I was using the word no, I think it was always in the context of I love you enough to say no.
I love to say no, right? And so yesterday, this is what I did, right? So, or I've been using this lately, but it's an example where he didn't want to go to bed, and I said, well, he's going through a superhero phase right now, which is like the perfect thing, because that's like you see my superhero cape in the background. He actually wears that and runs around our yard with his little mask. It's the best. Momentum. It's got an M on it for momentum. So, and it's like, hey man, do you want to be a superhero? You got to listen to daddy, because if you want to be a big, strong superhero and you want to be like the good guys, he's all into the good guys and the bad guys and the superheroes and the supervillains, then you got to listen to daddy. I promise you, I'm telling you this to help you, to make you bigger, better, faster, stronger. I'm not doing it to punish you. And it's hard because you're trying to rationalize with somebody that their brain's not quite there yet. But just like I was saying, the equation of life, you keep beating this stuff into them, and maybe beating's not the right word, but you keep, instilling it, and it's going to sink in eventually. And I'm trying to tell him, you're an owner of your life. Like he started crying yesterday because something he did. He spilled, he couldn't get his shoe on, and he started crying and he threw a fit. And I said, Wyatt, you are an owner, not a victim. You have everything in your power to get that shoe and put it on your foot. I promise you. Just keep trying. And he went over and he got it, and he struggled a little bit, but then he got it on and he had the biggest, brightest smile on his face. Now, what if I just gone and put the shoe on for him? Would that have done any good for the person he's going to become?
Nope.
That would instill, okay, well, I can just kind of throw a fit and I'll get what I want, and I'm a victim, and
that's not the lesson you want them to learn.
Exactly. So
I'm a little concerned that I sound too much like the monster that I really am when I say that the most powerful word in the English language is no. It's always in the context of I love you, and this is, I happen to know more than you. I'm the grown-up here.
100%, right. And they're not going to like you hear it at first, but if they start to see, and the best thing you can do as a parent is be a role model, right? And live your life the way you want them to. And it's not always easy. Like I said, we all have our things that we struggle with and failure habits, but, eventually you hope that they'll see, well, wait, he's daddy's happy and people like him and he's got lots of friends and he's always he's doing the things that I want to grow up to be. And then that you hope that that'll naturally. But then there's also teenage years where I know you have kids, I assume, Mitzi?
Oh, I've got 4 grandchildren.
4 grandchildren, right? So are any of them gone through?
No,
well, so you've been through the teens,
I've been through my own teen,
right? And now
of my kids.
are
And
any of the grandkids going through teens now, or have they been?
No,
Not yet?
the oldest is 12.
Got it. Okay. Oh, well, just around the corner,
But
right?
but you know what? It seems to me that if you don't have a good foundation for preteen, you're going to be in a world of trouble when they're teens.
Very well said. I completely agree.
So don't spoil them. Don't get them in terrible life habits when they're preteens, because preteen, you can really influence them. By the time they're teens, boy, does it get tough to change anything.